Yep, I agree. All right, so we are going to bring our guest on. He just popped in, and I'm looking forward to talking to him. This is my OG. Uh, he was there. Have you met Roland before?
I haven't. I haven't.
Oh, okay. This is the man right here. Look at him. Oh, it look like he's just fresh off a movie set. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? What's going on, Roland? How you doing?
Man, I'm doing great, brother. How y'all doing?
Man, we're
Good,
good.
man.
We're
Appreciate you
good.
coming.
You know, it's interesting because I thought about you when I was watching this situation that happened with this Texas State trooper, and you know, I'm listening to a lot of the conversation that's happening, you know, around the country, and they're talking about how people are policed, you know, on college campuses, and it took me back to my freshman year, like the first. Like it was literally like the first day or two when I stepped foot on Syracuse campus. I'm walking on the quad and I see this big protest going. So I'm standing there looking and seeing everything that's going on. You remember the sister had the megaphone and she was like talking about, and the thing was, it was because campus security, they had changed the rule and said that they can now carry pepper spray. So
Mhm.
the fear was that they was going to be pepper spraying all the black and brown students. As soon as any kind of commotion or anything happened, they just spray everybody. So that was the topic of the protest. So me and Roland were standing next to each other, and I think it was the Daily Orange, right? They took the picture, and it was us standing there, and then the sister with the microphone, and it's like we was like leading the protest. It was like we was
Right. Of course they're gonna do that.
yeah, that's what it
Yeah.
looked. But
Right.
that was my introduction because we didn't know each other. We were just standing next to each other then,
Mhm.
and that was my first you know, day or two at Syracuse. But yeah, so I had to bring that story back, Roland.
Yeah. I said it's funny because some of the backstory, was in previous years,
Mhm.
there have been moments where it felt like the campus security was a little bit more assertive at Brown events versus
Mhm.
others.
Mhm.
And there was so many instances that they taught me about saying, hey, Rhoda, there's a noise ordinance, and when it was violated on with this fraternity or sorority versus this one, it was
Right.
treated differently. And there was a laundry list of moments that they felt as though there was discrepancies. And that was something that was obviously problematic. And sometimes, it's like sometimes things continue to stockpile. And so I felt where they were talking about with pepper spray because they thought it'd be disproportionately used in brown and black communities or
Yeah.
sectors of the campus,
Right.
right, and others. And so I thought that was a great cause to stand for, man. And it was so good that we was in the Daily Orange for the first time together,
For the
standing
first time together.
first time together, standing for something. Amen.
And it
What
was
did the coaches say to y'all? Because I know Coach Boeheim said something to you, E.
yeah, so Coach Bayhart brought me in right after that, and he said, "Hey, you know, I know about your, you know, because I was in speech and debate in high school,
Mhm.
and so you know, we was winning state championships in basketball. We was also winning state championships in speech and debate. So I have a background of speaking on different things that were going on, politics or community or anything like that. So he was like, "Yeah, I know all about you. I've seen some of your speeches." Seen some of your debates, he's like, and I could appreciate it. He talked to me about some of the activism, talked to me about Jim Brown and, Syracuse State and everything like that. He's like, so Syracuse has a history and a rich tradition of activism. He's like, but I'm going to say one thing to you. Whatever you stand on, make sure that you can back it up because you know what I mean? You're going to get some backlash, but as
Mhm.
long as you can back it up and you can defend your position, you'll be just fine. You'll hear no resistance from me. And I was like, okay, that's what's up. So that's what Coach Bay. I don't know what Pasquale said to you, but that's what Bay said to me.
Well, it was so funny because a lot of the athletes, the other players on the team, there was that. There was also the moment, Etan, that we both was together for the Million Man March.
Oh yeah, that's
And
right.
and then so a lot of the players are like, Roland X, you and Malcolm, and like it was a whole little fun thing of saying me and my brother Etan that we
Yeah,
both standing for causes. But to me, I think that's what college is supposed to be about.
right.
It's an opportunity for young men to start learning how to express themselves, to have fair common discord, to be able to be real and to deal with some of the real challenges that face us as a people and a population in our country in a healthy way. So I thought that those two were great moments, and I was glad that we stood for something. And I see it's still in your blood right now. So I'm just like, man, I'm with you, and I support you, and I respect you so much for being consistent ever since college and standing for causes and having courageous conversations that need to be had.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So what was your reaction when you saw the incident happen with Texas State Trooper? It was just a quick recap. Man, Nyck, what's his last name? Wide receiver. He caught a touchdown pass, and his momentum kind of took him into the tunnel, and he kind of reached for his hamstring. Looked like he pulled something. You know what I mean? And so this Texas State Trooper came by. I guess he wasn't supposed to be in there. I don't know. And he came, and then the other players were there, like four in a row, like kind of to go and see it, check on him. And he kind of just bumped them. You know what I mean? It looked like like back in the day, like in high school, and like you had the dudes that was the bullies that would they'd be the seniors, and they would go through and bump the freshmen and just see if they're gonna say something so they could pummel them or something like that. That's what it looked like with the Texas State Trooper. And my first thought was, because they said he was sent home for the day, and I was like, maybe we need a little bit more punishment, maybe a little more evaluation. That's not really a lot. Because my first thought was, if he is willing to do that and behave that way at a crowded stadium after somebody scored a touchdown and all the cameras are on you, you know what I mean, in front of everyone, what does he do normally when he stops a black person on the side of the road as a highway patrolman? Like, how does he act normally? That was my first thought in my first year. What was your thought?
Well, I think it was the same. See, I have multiple hats because we have the hat as an athlete, but also we have the hat as a father. We have the hat of a man of color in America. And it's like, it's okay to be honest about some of the challenges that we have as a nation. And one of them is racial discrimination. One of them are things like police brutality. All of these things are real. And so it's okay in every family, and I'm going to talk about our country as a family, for us to be real about our issues and deal with them head up. And so when I saw that, different hats went on. Just like you, I saw a man that was a little bit bitter because his team was losing. So he mad. So the human side of him is mad. But you have on a uniform and you have a responsibility and a job to do. And that's the interesting part about seeing that moment of humanity. It's just interesting how people can't see humanity both sides, both ways, right? And see those moments. So in this moment, here's an officer that was out of pocket. He could have just said, I was wrong. I had my fan on. I was in my fan mode right then. I wasn't an officer and I deserved to be punished. That was what we saw. But the energy of him having on his uniform was a reflection of sort of an attitude that I think that comes with the uniform. And I don't know about you, but I've heard from different family members, different folks who say, Roland, have you ever been around officers? Sometimes their personality can be a little bit, aggressive anyway. And so to me, it was a merging of all these different things at the same time. Then I put my dad hat on. And I said, so we do know the law. If I put on my hat and said it's the law and that was recapped and it wasn't on national TV, they would have said that these young men were in a area that was not accessible,
right?
That they hit an officer. The officer felt away and had to retaliate. That's what it would have said on the report. I would have just been asking, what happened, son? Were you in an area, a prohibited zone that you shouldn't have been in? And he would have been like, yeah, Dad, but the momentum took me, to the joint. And then my man came, just to help me. And it would have sounded like if I was listening as a dad to say, okay, I'm listening. So you were in an area you weren't supposed to be. Yes, I was, but it was. And then the officer would be. And so it gets really hectic. But in this country, that move, if that's illegal. If the officer says he felt assaulted and so to me, this is like a microcosm of how people get caught up, how this legal system, it's messy. It's messy. And I think that they need to have some more clarity in how they treat people. And I think that this officer in this instance, man, he deserved a little bit more than just a go home.
Sit home for the day.
And too, I'm thinking like if I'm a doctor or if I'm a teacher, whatever it is, everybody got stuff going on at home, right? Everybody got, but you're not bringing that to work. You know what I mean? I mean, a lot of people do, don't get me wrong, but especially if you're a police officer, right? You're not bringing that. It's a time and a place. Once you put that uniform on, everything else you got going on, you got to put that put aside for a little bit, right? Yeah. So for him to, and I like how you broke it down in those three different aspects. It makes it way more easier to like really like talk about it. Mm-hmm. But like, even if he did go in a place where he wasn't supposed to be, man, he caught the football, he ran, and like he was like, it was almost like a celebration type thing, right? Mm-hmm. He was excited. Then his teammate came around him, and for what I saw, he kind of like they brushed, and then my guy turned around and pointed at him, and like whatever he said. But if you're an officer, man, your job is to be secure the place, and you don't like do anything extra. You know what I mean? Whatever you got going on at home with the fan, whatever it is, you got to drop that and take care of your business right there. If he got bumped, you might have to take that one on the chin. Like he didn't. It's not like he was coming at you like full force, really trying to do that. So that was my whole thing. I never really saw anything like that before. I mean, I'm sure it's happened, but for a guy to do that and really turn around and retaliate when you're people are supposed to be putting their trust in you to keep them safe. You know what I mean? So that's what I really saw from it. I'm like, how could you, even if it did happen, why would you even retaliate like that? And he deserves more than that. Like it should have been a immediate from the chief like statement about what happened. So because everybody's confused. When I watched it, I was confused. Like, what is this dude even doing? You know what I mean? And then he should have been, I don't know, if he wasn't fired, suspended without pay until you figure out what the situation really was.
It's almost like it was like a doctor having a moment of malpractice, right?
And that's right? we don't want that to happen.
It was a moment. I'm not saying that's how you are all the time. I'm not saying anything. I'm saying in this moment, you was out of pocket. And so to restore the general confidence in your profession, that's when you got to spank people the same way they do that with doctors. So I feel you in that for sure. He had a moment for sure.
But here we are days later, and we still haven't heard a statement from the Texas State Patrol president or anybody. They haven't said anything. That happened Saturday. We're now in the middle of the week. You know what I mean? Like when I in doing this social justice work and being in this, that usually tells me that they're trying to concoct a story and they're going to come later on and say what you saw on video wasn't really what happened. And I'm like, I hope they don't do that again, but I've seen it over and over again. Like all it takes is, this, what I would have liked to see happen was immediately condemning it from the president, from the Texas State Police, from the DPF, whoever it is in charge. This is not how we teach. Or even if they say the officer had a moment and we're going to deal with him, but ensure some of that with the public to let everyone know. Because right now, it looks like you're just trying to concoct a story and trying to, brush it away and hope that it passes over because it's been weeks. Now, if the players were 100% in the wrong, I don't think it would take all this time for them to make a statement.
Correct.
It wouldn't be days like that happened Saturday. There'll be a statement that night. You know what I mean? Like, but now we're in the middle of the week and we haven't heard anything. Like that just doesn't do well with the relations, between the community and the police.
That's right. I think that it's been a journey of a lifetime of this holding accountable police officers, a government to stay consistent with what it says it's supposed to be about. And I think that is the constant rub. And that's why the work that you do is so important, because it's power to the people. It's we the people. And if the people aren't speaking up and saying something and holding the line and keeping to push the envelope and having I call it carefrontational conversations. We got to be carefrontational with this thing to talk about the issues in this family. It's never going to get better. And so I think that by putting light on it, I think hopefully it won't happen at another game. I bet you for the course of this season.
Right.
Right. It won't happen at another game. it won't happen at a Syracuse game, right? Because we're shedding light on it and saying it's not okay.
You know, it's interesting because, and you tell me if any of you have experienced this. You know, a certain level of, because there's one thing if you go to an area that you're not supposed to go to. That's one thing. You know what I mean? But there is a certain amount of venom and like hatred in that guy where he was pointing. I'm like, why are you that mad? Like there was something extra behind it. You know what I mean? And there's been this notion that I've felt before, you know, being on campus, being around, where almost sometimes, and of course not all the time, so I'm not even trying to speak generally, but I have felt it before. There's like this level of resentment and jealousy towards athletes from, you know, police or security, almost like, you know, they see you having your name in the papers, they see your success, they see where, especially now that, you know, cats have NIL. I imagine there's even more of it. I mean, we ain't have nothing and I felt it. You know what I'm saying? I'm sitting there just with my card and my little bit of Pell Grant money. But now they have, you know, they're making a lot of money. So it's almost like that brought more resentment and more venom because there was something extra there with that. That wasn't just a regular, this person went into an area that he wasn't supposed to go. There was something extra there.
Right. I definitely thought it was some sauce on it. And it could have been a combination of away game. I don't know if he's an alumni of Texas A&M, so he really felt it viscerally. Did he play on the football team? You know, there's a lot of dynamics there. But to your point, it's a lot of humanity in here. And it doesn't matter if you're the guy. We get energy sometimes from the guy who's working at the restaurant. You can get energy from the guy at the ticket spot. Like, it don't matter. Like, historically, there can be, you probably got folks from high school still hating, you know what I'm saying? It's like, me too, you know, now. So I think that it's just human that sometimes there's going to be folks hating on folks succeeding or doing something they thought they could do or whatever that issue is. And again, it's okay to be human, but once you put on that doctor's mask or you put on that uniform, we're expecting a certain decorum.
100%. 100%. Let me ask you this.